How's it going? I'm Anthony, and these are stories of my life. For those of you just joining us for the first time, these videos are a cognitive therapy tool for me. I've taken some head injuries over the years, my memory's been failing me, and the doctors have suggested I make these videos to preserve the memories I still have, as well as inspire some of you all who are involved in these events to provide me with details I may have lost or otherwise remind me of events I've completely forgotten, in which case then I can either remake an old video with the new details, like I am now, or make a whole new video for you and go from there. So I'm sure you get the idea. At any rate, building off of the last video, the events of this video will take place in 1992. Now, in 1992, I had just turned 14 years old on January 3rd. I was now in the latter half of my freshman year of high school at Riverside Poly High School. I was living with my father in a one-bedroom apartment at Quail Creek Apartments on the corner of Horace and Arlington Avenue. And this time was still tough for me because my father was still struggling with his mental and emotional instability, his suicidal tendencies, and that was hard on me. I spent a lot of time consoling my father, talking him out of suicide, and I literally mean like 3-4 times a week. And it was bad. At night he'd get in his own head and he'd be crying his eyes out, and I'd be the one that would have to talk to him. And it was tough. And a lot of those conversations led to arguments, and my dad and I would get into fights, and sometimes actual fist fights. And so it was ugly, you know. It wasn't fun. So I had no desire to do anything related to school. You know, I didn't want to be at school. I couldn't care less about school. I had other issues going on. And so, yeah, I didn't put any effort into school. I ended up failing a bunch of classes, had to retake them over the summertime, and even double up on classes later on. But, yeah, so that was that. But what I did do is I spent most of my time hanging out with my friends, and my friends were the absolute most important thing to me, you know. And when I was little, I didn't have a lot of friends. So now that I've got them, like, they're mine. You know, I gotta protect them, take care of them, and do whatever I can to make sure they're okay. And the people I spent most of my time with, the two I spent most of my time with, were Jim Hudson and Gabe Pena. And spending time with them meant I spent the time with a lot of other people. Over at Gabe's house, you know, you had Mike Pena, and then I was always hanging out with Mike's friends as well, because where you found Gabe, you found Mike. And so from there, it was like Richard Barbeau, Ian Shaw, Matt Hennis, Aaron Morton. You know, you had Tommy, I can't think of his last name, but, you know, then with Jim, you had Joe Hudson, Jeff Hudson, and then there's just a variety of people that were all around. I mean, even at Gabe's house, you know, Gabe's older sister, Norma, would be there. His younger sister was always there. Jennifer, we called her Dusty, and, you know, any number of friends that she had, and she was a little social butterfly, so she knew tons of people. But that made Gabe's house kind of like a Grand Central Station, not just because there was so many people going through there, but also because of the location. And it was at that center spot of everybody's house, and it was on Horace, so it was a nice thoroughfare that connected everyone. So we always met up at Gabe's house. And so, like I said, Grand Central Station, it worked out. And then what added to that was Gabe's mom. And if you didn't know Gabe's mom, she was just an amazing woman. Her name was Rosa. And she kind of had this open door policy. You know, if you were one of the friends, that was your house. You know, you can come in, unlock the door yourself, if they ever locked it. And come in, sit down, and hang out, watch TV, raid the fridge, whatever. And there was several times I can remember my dad and I had it out, and I would go over to Gabe's house, and I would make myself at home, and nobody was there. Nobody was there. And she didn't mind. You know, they'd come home while I was there. I'm like, hey guys, like, how's it going? I was just watching TV, you know. And yeah, that's just how it was. We would be at Gabe's house late. And my dad never really imposed a curfew on me. No, never really did. I tried to be home around 10 p.m., maybe midnight, but yeah. So I'd be there late, and it was usually just whenever my friends had to go to bed that I would go back home, if I didn't have anything else to do. But being there at Gabe's house late, though, we ended up doing some nighttime things outside, and one of those ended up being a game of hide and go seek. I don't know who started it, but anyway, hide and go seek on Horace outside Gabe's house. The game ended up evolving into us wearing darker and darker clothes until we eventually ended up with full-on black clothes, black turtleneck, long sleeves, and ninja masks. And I had figured out that if you take your black t-shirt, put the collar over your eyes, and tie the sleeves around your neck, you have an instant ninja mask. And so now you had a bunch of us all running around the area around Gabe's house in ninja outfits, playing hide and go seek with one another. And it was a blast. I ain't gonna lie. It was just tons of fun. Sometimes we'd do teams. Sometimes it'd be just literally one person counting until they had to go. But we'd have a lot of pedestrian traffic that would come up and down that road too. So we'd eventually start hiding from them and seeing if we can get as close to the sidewalk as we could without them noticing we were there. And it was a blast. Eventually that game migrated into my dad's apartment complex. I can remember, I think it was Mike ended up either stepping into one of the creeks or even falling into the creek and getting wet. Eventually the game ended up moving on to Jim's house, and then down the street from Jim's house, bang, at California School for the Deaf. And it was fun there because there's a lot of wide open space, overhangs, roofs that you can get onto pretty easy because it was, things were pretty low. And it was a blast playing hide and seek in there. And until all of a sudden we found out they had a security guard. Well, sometimes it was one, sometimes it might have been two or even three guys. But then it became a game of let's screw with the security guard. And I can remember one of the first times we discovered the security guard. It might have even been the first time. Security guard comes chasing us out, and he's freaking pissed, and he's driving in his golf cart up one of the roads. He's chasing us in his golf cart, and we just come hauling out of this long walkway, and everybody scatters through into the parking lot going all different directions. And there's this long line of like waist-high hedges that kind of act as like a small wall, so you had to go to scurry around them to get back out to the road. I just ran straight for the hedges and did this leap, like diving leap over the hedges, and then rolled. Well, as soon as I landed, instead of rolling forward, I forced myself to roll back into the bushes, and I hid there. Everybody else just kept on running. And I don't think the guy ever expected me to do that. And he didn't have his lights on me, so I was certain he didn't see me. But then as he come out into the parking lot, all of a sudden I can see my shadow in front of me, because I'm laying on my left side. I can see my shadow, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as this cart's getting closer and closer and closer. I'm like, oh shit, this guy's gonna see me. I'm like, okay, well, if he gets out, he says anything to me or even touches me, I'm just gonna run, because he's on the other side of the bushes. In order for him to get me, physically get a hold of me, he's gonna have to come all the way around. So I'm just waiting. Sure enough, he's getting closer. Next thing I know, the freaking golf cart hits the damn bushes, and the bumper actually hits me in the shoulder. Or it might have been this shoulder. Anyway, bumper hit me. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, dude just ran me with his cart. Like, full on just hit me with his cart. And I was like, oh, crap. The guy, I can hear him still sitting in the cart yelling. And he gets out of the cart, and he's right there, so I can hear him get out of the cart. And he goes and chases Jim. Now, Jim and Gabe and them had ran to the left. A couple others had ran off to the right. And he starts following Jim and Gabe towards Haverhill Court. And he's just yelling and yelling, but these lights are still on, lighting me up. So I know the cart's still on. I can hear it running from the hum. And sure enough, I see the guy now. He's actually that way, but it's to my left. And I can see him over there following Jim. So I get up out of the bushes, and I'm like, okay, well, now what do? And I look back at the golf cart. I go running around, get to the golf cart, and I start driving it around in the parking lot. And Jim is laughing, right? He's trying to tell the guy, look what's going on. Guy won't listen. And eventually, I parked the car back in roughly where it was. I think I actually turned it around so it was backwards, so that way the guy can see that somebody did physically take his cart. But then I found his cell phone there. Now, this is 1992. In 1992, cell phones were not a thing, but this guy had one. And it was some black space age looking bastard that was just something that would be even a marvel today. Like, you could see it in a modern movie and think, oh, that's a cool phone. So I got to wonder what it was, like a satellite phone or what, because it had the screens, you can store numbers in it. Like, it was something I didn't see till much, much later. But anyway, this guy had one, so I had something with the school, I don't know. But anyway, I grabbed it, and I ran back, and I met up with Jim over by his house, and I think I even ran by the guy, just be like, hey, you missed me. But anyway, we get back to Jim's house, and we're checking out this phone, playing with all the buttons. I think we even made a couple calls on it just to see how it would work, and we're like, yeah, whatever. And we weren't thieves. Well, I guess I kind of was, because I would steal shit from Target all the time. But anyway, we had no intention of stealing this, and so I ended up giving it back to the guy. And I think I took it back to his duty hut, left it on the cart, knocked on the door, and ran. And that way he could walk out and see that the phone was there. But anyway, since I brought up the Target thing real quick, I got a story from there. One time we were having a squirt gun fight at Jim's house, I think it was, and we needed more squirt guns. And I had just gone to Target and bought a Super Soaker MDS, multi-directional soaker, and it's got the little thing where you can turn the front and you can spray whichever direction you want, regardless of how you were facing. And it's good for shooting around a corner or whatever. But anyway, while I was there, I had seen this Super Soaker 5000, which looked like a flamethrower setup. Big Zippo thing on the back with a big old hose gun on the front. Anyway, I wanted it, but I didn't want to spend the $50 or $100 on it. So I grabbed my receipt that I had from the Super Soaker MDS, and because it said on it Super Soaker MDS, but the Super Soaker is real prominent. And so I grabbed this box and I put it over my shoulder, and I go walking out the garden section. And you couldn't put it in a bag because the box was so big. But anyway, as I'm walking up, and I walk straight for the cashier who's helping somebody at the garden section, and he sees me, he goes, yeah, and I hold up the receipt so he can see it, and I even have my finger pointing at Super Soaker, and he looks at it and goes, okay, Super Soaker, yeah. And I was like, all right, you're good. And I go walking out the garden section. Totally different Super Soaker than I had bought, and the one I bought earlier was only like $15. This was like $100. But yeah, anyway, that was bad. I shouldn't have done that, but kids are stupid. You know how it goes. Anyway, back to ninjas at School for the Deaf. So another time we were there, and same security guard even, he chases us out, and we were all running. And I don't know what possessed me to do this, but as we were running out from underneath one of the overhangs that covered the pathways, and it gets real hot there, that's why they have these things, I just was running out with everybody, and I jumped and I grabbed it backwards like this and did this total parkour flip thing where I brought my legs up and ended up belly down on top of the overhang. I don't know how the hell I did it. I don't even know if I could do it today. I couldn't do it today, but I don't know how the hell I did it back then. But anyway, this guy flies out from underneath me in the cart and goes and chases everybody back out in the parking lot. Same spot that I just described a little bit ago. And chases everybody back out in the parking lot, and then stops before he gets to the bushes. I guess this guy learned his lesson from the last time not to get too far out there. So now he's in the light, and there's all this light beaming down on him and his cart, and he's still sitting on the cart, and he's just yelling at Jim and all them who are now out in the darkness. And he's got his headlights on them. He may have even had a flashlight shining at him. So I'm like, okay, so this guy's stopped now in the wide open, so he can protect his cart, protect his phone. So I climbed down from this overhang, and I start sneaking up on him real slow from behind. And Jim sees me, Joe sees me. They're laughing hysterically. I think Jeff was there too, but I don't remember now. But anyway, they're laughing hysterically. Gabe's dying. And I'm just just real slow, sneaky ninja walk until I get up to this guy's cart. And Jim's talking shit to this guy. Guy's talking crap back. And Jim's trying to tell him, turn around, look behind you. There's somebody right behind you. And the guy's saying, I ain't fucking stupid, blah, blah, blah. You ain't going to get me with that bullshit and whatever else. So I get up next to the cart. I don't know how I did this, but somehow I was able to sit on the guy's golf cart. So there's 2 seats in the front that are facing forward. The 2 seats in the back are facing backwards. Somehow I was able to transfer my weight onto the cart slow enough that this guy didn't notice the differential or the movement in the cart. So I end up sitting on this guy's cart for a few minutes as him and Jim are going back and forth, yelling at each other, talking crap. Jim's dying. The guy doesn't notice me. And he just keeps saying stuff like, oh, you think I'm fucking stupid? There's nobody there. I wouldn't fall for that bullshit, blah, 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 blah. And then at some point, I got up off the cart. Oh, actually, no, I was still sitting there. And I tap him on the shoulder. I go, that's right, man. You tell him. And the guy about shit himself. The guy was like, whoa, whoa. Oh, and I got up and I walked away. I didn't even run. I didn't anything. The guy just, just scared the hell out of him. I walk away. Jim's dying. Like I said, didn't even run. I just casually strolled away after I did that. And that was funny. I probably could have given the guy a heart attack, but, you know. Oh, it was hilarious. And there was numerous times that we were in there that they eventually started just outright calling the police on us. And that stemmed from, there was one time we finally had Tommy and I think Matt Hennis and a couple other guys with us, where we ended up stealing the guy's golf cart and they hotwired it. Now, one time we had taken it and just got it into neutral and were scooting it around like a scooter, but we ended up bringing it back. But at another point, Tommy and all them hotwired the golf cart and ended up driving it around. We ended up driving it up to Gage Middle School, back, you know, all to the back of the School for the Deaf and everywhere. I don't know what ended up happening to the cart. I think they eventually gave it back, but from then on, every time we were ever in the School for the Deaf, we got the police called on us. And I think there was even a couple occasions where a handful of our people ended up getting caught, taken back to their parents for trespassing and blah, blah, blah. But it eventually got to the point where everybody realized that Anthony doesn't get caught. So finally, it just became a thing that if something went down, you followed Anthony. And I was like, no, you don't freaking do that. And they called me Tony. Follow Tony, man. Follow Tony. No. Pissed me off. Because now I can't just hide. Now I've got 5, 6, 7 other dudes following me so I can help them get away. I'm like, oh, man. But anyway, stupid story. Stupid stories. But anyway, that was playing ninjas. You know, we had a good time with that. We had a good time with it. That kind of translated into some other things that I had done. You know, I was a bad kid. And like even at Poly High School, I can remember doing some stupid things and ended up running through Poly High School to get away from the police. Now, I knew Poly High School like the back of my hand. I knew the rooftops because I'd climb up them. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Poly High School, if you were to look at the front of Poly High School from like Google Street View, there's this building off to the right that's tall. It's on the surface level, it's only 2 stories. There's only 2 levels. But from the street view, it's actually 3 because I've got a retaining wall. It's that wall is like a brick wall. It's like a 3-story wall. But anyway, there's these 2 drainage pipes that would go up to the roof that, you know, where the water would come down. And I would climb up and down those like a freaking monkey up to the top and come down them. And so I knew the roofs, like I said, like the back of my hand. I remember one day, I don't remember what I did. I don't remember where I was, but I did something. I had cops chasing my ass through the school. And I think there was even a helicopter that was en route. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know what I did. But I remember getting up onto the rooftop and running, from roof to roof and jumping and to overhangs and whatever else. And the cops were trying to figure out how to get me. So a couple of them were trying to figure out where I was going on the ground. A couple of them had even gotten up on the roof. And then I got to the 600 buildings, and now they're thinking, okay, he's stuck. Because, at the other end, it's just sheer drop off 3 stories. And I'm just hauling ass, and I've got probably like 4 or 5 cops behind me on the roof chasing me. And I'm just running and running and running. So finally, I just jump off the 600 building. And I jump, but I don't jump out. I just jump up to get over to the side. And as I'm falling down, I reach out with my left hand and I grab the drainage pipe and I squeeze that motherfucker with everything I got. And it's just sliding through my hand, right? But it's slowing me down as I'm doing it. And I got my hand out and I'm going down slowing until finally I hit the ground. Fortunately for me, the ground was soft, wet, which it usually was because the water from these drainage pipes would soak that whole area. And so it did exactly what I needed it to. Broke my fall, didn't break my legs, but anyway, came down and boom, hit it. Problem is it was soaking wet also. So once I hit, I ended up rolling down the hill right through this gigantic puddle of water, right? And that thing was freaking cold. So it had to be during the wintertime somewhere in there. And it was cold. I was soaking wet. But anyway, I jumped right up and I look up and I can see the 4 or 5 cops still standing at the top of the 600 buildings looking down at me. I turned around and I just booked. I was gone. They did not catch me after that. Ran down to Gabe's house as fast as humanly possible. I think I was even bobbing and weaving into some houses, maybe backyards, whatever else. I think I actually cut towards Ian's house and ran down that road and then went through the alleyway that was right there next to Gabe's, and then cut back into Gabe's. Told Gabe what was going on. He's looking at me like, dude, you're freaking soaking wet. I'm like, yeah, you don't want to know. Anyway, I ended up back at my dad's and got changed. But yeah, I was doing a lot of stupid crap. So anyway, that's my story. Hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned for the next one. Appreciate you watching. If you got any memories of that time of me, or any stories that I can either retell or tell, in a whole new video, please let me know. Either hit me up on a message or throw it on a comment. I appreciate it. Have a good one.